What's up, family? Welcome back to another legendary reaction video. Let's go. I'm gonna turn down the volume due to, copyright.
The greatest all-around player of all time. What does this mean exactly?
But run it back.
The greatest all-around player of all time. What does this mean exactly? When we're talking about this subject, I think most people mean it in terms of a variety of elite abilities. Is he a top scorer, a top passer, a top rebounder, a top defender, and so on? Usually, when this debate comes up, you'll hear two players get mentioned quite a bit: LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Let me make this clear. This video is not intended to be a criticism against either of those players. Both Jordan and LeBron are immensely talented in a variety of ways, and each of
Yeah, of course. They're talented in their own ways, in their own era, of course. But come on, man. How you cannot mention Larry Bird?
players have a legitimate argument for that title. But the thing is, I think Larry Bird's case is just as strong. But for some reason, he's almost never given that same level of recognition on this particular topic.
Calm it down, family. Why do you guys feel like Larry Bird do not get the recognition that he should get in regards of the GOAT talk, the greatest of all time? Is it because Larry Bird is humble himself and he's always been the behind the scenes guy, just working and doing his thing, not really looking for any type of credibility, let alone his work ethic speaks for itself and why he had got the accolades that he got, let alone his work not only speaks for itself, but his credentials speak for itself. Do you guys feel like that's the reason why Larry Bird isn't talked about much in regards of the GOAT conversation? I believe he just don't care because he's a GOAT in his own island. That's how I look at it, in his own world.
Now let me break down the main reasons why I think Bird's case is so strong. For one, Larry Bird has no weaknesses in his game.
I agree. Let's read this quote from Larry Bird. A winner is someone who recognizes his God-given talents, works his tail off to develop them into skills, and uses those skills to accomplish his goals. Larry Bird.
Think about how rare that actually is, even when considering some of the GOAT candidates. It can be argued that Michael Jordan's weakness was his three-point shooting, especially earlier in his career. LeBron James is a below-average free throw shooter.
LeBron James can't shoot threes to me good or free throws as well. If you want to go there, talking about Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and LeBron. As far as shooting percentage, I feel like the top individual is Larry Bird.
Wasn't a great defensive player. Wilt Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal were terrible free throw shooters. In several seasons, Kobe Bryant wasn't very efficient from the field, and Bill Russell was a very limited scorer. On the other hand, Larry Bird was an elite scorer overall. He was tremendously efficient from the field.
And we're not just going to shy past the ankle breaker, man. The man over here, Larry Bird, was breaking ankles before breaking ankles was actually talked about as much as it is today. Been breaking ankles, man.
Three-point range and from the free throw line. He was an elite rebounder, especially considering his position. He was an elite passer, he was a clutch performer, and he was an NBA All-Defender. I challenge you to find one thing that Larry Bird wasn't good at. The other major reason is Larry was arguably a top 10 player of all time in several major categories. First off, scoring. When you consider the greatest scorers in NBA history,
I don't think nobody doing them pump fakes like Larry Bird. Bro, there's some legendary pump fakes that should be cemented in the Hall of Fame. That way he could just throw that ball over your head and you look around like lost. Like,
and factor in a player's scoring efficiency, Larry Bird simply has to be in that conversation.
Of course.
He had a career scoring average of 24.3, which is only slightly behind the career scoring average of Kobe Bryant. He also has the second most 50-40-90 seasons in NBA history, trailing only Steve Nash. And Nash was never the 25 to 30 points per game player that Bird usually was. Over a 5-year
most definitely. Nash was never that. Steve Nash was never that, bro.
stretch from 1985 to 1989, Larry Bird averaged 28 points on 50-40-90 percentages. That level of sustained scoring efficiency is basically unmatched by the rest of NBA history. So again, he's arguably a top 10 scorer of all time. He's also arguably a top 10 rebounder in NBA history, when you consider the position he played. According to StatMuse, among small forwards, Bird has the 4th highest rebounds per game average in NBA history, at 10.1.
Shout out to Bird, man. Shout out to Bird, man. Look at that. Look at that history. It speaks for itself. Not let alone the very other things that he did, man.
Thing is, every other player in the top 8 spots all played in the 1960s, which was easily the most inflated rebounding era in the game's history, and that was due to lower field goal percentages and a faster pace of play. The closest small forward to Larry Bird in rebounds per game who didn't play in the 1960s was Shawn Marion, who wasn't even close to Larry's numbers. He was able to accomplish this thanks to his 6'9" frame, thanks to his all-out play style, and because of his intelligence on the court. In clutch situations, he dominated the boards to an even greater extent. For goodness sake, in the 1984 NBA Finals, Bird averaged 14 rebounds per game over the course of the series.
Who you know is averaging 14 rebounds in the playoffs, bro? Ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody doing that, bro.
Compared to the Lakers' Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who averaged 8.1. In the 1981 Finals, Bird averaged 15.3 rebounds, going
and
to...
what I mean by who's doing that, as in 14 rebounds and then 15 rebounds in the finals, in the NBA Finals, 1984, and then he did it in 1981. I'm talking about the consistency over time from back-to-back finals, back-to-back results for rebounds. Ain't nobody doing it like that. If so, family, comment down below who else you believe can do that or have done it. We're not going to even speak in hypotheticals. Who done it besides Larry Bird?
In the 1981 Finals, Bird averaged 15.3 rebounds, going toe-to-toe with the legendary rebounder Moses Malone. When you consider the era and the position he played, Bird is not only a top 10 scorer of all time, but he's also a potential top 10 rebounder of all time. Then you have Bird as a passer. He had creativity and court vision that was very nearly on the level of the great Magic Johnson. At times, it looked as if Bird had eyes in the back of his head with some of the passes he was making. I
feel like he did. I just feel like his IQ is so amazing, let alone how efficient he is as a player. Very strategic, always looking 10 steps ahead, always thinking 10 steps ahead while still being in the present moment to still be effective as he is by not only seeing the floor, but also being in the present moment and how he's going to approach and how he's going about presenting himself while he is the role player within that time of that play. So the way he's presenting himself and coming up the floor and coming off as if he's going to be the main player in the limelight, the key player, but in reality is he's just like orchestrating everything. His teammates are like little muppets. He's like setting everybody up, let alone himself being in the present moment. Taking control and leading as a leader to where the overall success of not just him, but his teammates as well can be very successful. And it'd be great as they have been during their time and great as they have been consistently during games,
Forwards, Larry has the second highest assists per game average of all time, ahead of Scottie Pippen and trailing only LeBron James. But unlike LeBron James and Scottie Pippen, Bird's assists per game average actually increased in the postseason. When I recently did a video on the top 10 passers of all time, I had Bird as an honorable mention. And good lord, that created a whole bunch of backlash in the comments section. For me, he's in the 11 to 13.
Larry Bird is a top 5 passer all time. He was every bit as magical as Magic, just from the small forward spot and power forward spot for his few seasons. That's a flagrant
range. But at the very least, we can all agree that he's arguably a top 10 passer. Beyond that, there's three-point shooting. Bird is tied for the most three-point contest victories in NBA history with a total of 3, which he won in consecutive seasons. In the 1980s, he was regularly among the league leaders in both three-point percentage and in three-pointers attempted. He has every kind of three-point shot in his arsenal, as he can hit them while off balance.
I believe Larry Bird, I always believe he was a top 3-point shooter. One of the top 3-point shooters, and in the very toppest 3-point shooter, especially in his era. Now, I'm not talking about being one of the top shooters or 3-point shooters after him. I'm talking about in his era, he was the top of the line.
Pull up in transition, and he could catch and shoot. Throw in the fact that he was one of the most clutch three-point shooters to ever live, and yeah, at the very least, Bird has an argument for being a top 10 three-point shooter. So to recap, he's arguably a top 10 scorer all time, a top 10 rebounder, a top 10 passer, and a top 10 three-point shooter. Now, Bird is not a top 10 defensive player, but without a doubt in my mind, he's an extremely underrated defensive player.
I really do believe Larry Bird is underrated. Comment down below if you believe that Larry Bird is an underrated defender. I feel like my man always hustle up and down the court, play defense, and overall, from the definition that's given in the video of athleticism, he was one of the top rebounders, basically fancy all-time top assist giving individual when it came to passing the ball to his teammates and setting them up. 3-point. So we got the passing, we got the rebound, we got the 3-point. And then let alone his hustling up and down the court. And he wasn't the fastest, but my man got down. And when he got down, he got down. So many steals, many deflections. Definitely couldn't. You definitely couldn't, if you was playing against Larry Bird, could not think about how you were going to get that ball past Larry Bird without something happening. Taking a double take or double thought of how you were going to do it. Because he does defend, you know what I'm saying?
One thing he was known for was always giving his best energy and effort on the defensive end. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a substantial amount of footage of Bird being lazy on defense, as his blue-collar, grit-and-grind personality translated seamlessly to the court. Although he wasn't the fastest player on the court, he was extremely quick with his hands, as Bird was regularly among the league leaders in steals per game.
Definitely. You know how many deflections, how many games I saw where he deflected the ball many a times? Like, bro, that's what I'm saying. You're going to have to take a double take or really think hard on how you're going to get that ball past Larry Bird.
As he averaged 1.7 over the course of his career. He was also an above-average shot blocker for his position, as he averaged 0.84 over the course of his career, which is actually a higher blocks per game average than proven defensive small forwards like LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard. Bird has 3 all-defense team selections on his resume, and even finished as high as 3rd overall in the Defensive Player of the Year rankings in 1983. If it wasn't for his humility, he would likely be the NBA's record holder for the most steals in a single game, seeing how he got a total of 9 in only 3 quarters against the Utah Jazz in 1985. Despite sitting out the 4th, Bird was just 1 steal shy of the illustrious quadruple-double. I promise, I'm not trying to convince you that he was basically Dennis Rodman on the defensive end. But at the very least, Bird was an elite defensive player who usually isn't recognized as such by modern fans.
Yeah, very, very. He was a very efficient defensive player and definitely shook the game up and altered a lot of things from the defensive side to, challenge and really hard press on the hard press on the opponent, in their offense. That's what I want to say. So Larry Bird is really going to hard press your offense and really alter something if you think you're going to get that ball by him, because you're going to have to think about that. And you're going to have to think it through very hard. And I do believe, Larry Bird was very strong on the offensive glass. My man got a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks, put back up. You know what I'm saying? So boxing out, get low, backing down individuals to get that second chance or second chance points. He was very magnificent and very efficient in doing that. While reversing his role and not only being one of the lead key players on his offense, if not the key player in regards of the Celtics offense, but he also, when he's not having the ball and the ball goes up to that rim, trust believe he's already defensively defending the rim to get the rebound back, to get those second chance points and putbacks to make sure his team score every chance they get, man.
Again, to sum this all up, Larry Legend had basically no weakness in his game, while being top tier in many different aspects of the game. This is why I believe he has a formidable case for being the most complete basketball player in NBA history. There are some other candidates that I would consider as well. Guys like Jordan, LeBron James, Kevin.
See, the thing is, he had no weakness in his arsenal. Kevin Durant has a weakness. My man don't play. My man defense. My man, no. When it comes to Kevin Durant, I'm not to get off topic because this is about Larry Bird, baby. Kevin Durant sucks offensively. He's just a one role player when it comes to offense. A scorer. But I feel like he hasn't really set his teammates up to score as much. He just fixate on being the scorer. And I feel like now that he's getting older, he has a hard time of, letting a young and a new era come in and him being a corner boy. But I feel like offensively he's not there as strong. Definitely not as strong as Larry Bird. So I feel like it was a weakness in his game. LeBron sucks at defense. So I feel like if you want to be honest and want to be technical from the individuals that he's naming, Larry Bird was obviously one of the complete overall players successfully with no weakness in his game. And Jordan had a weakness. Jordan wasn't good at threes, but he was good at the mid-range. So if you want to go in those categories of rebounding, three-point, passing, and defense, I feel like it's only Larry Bird, because I feel like Michael Jordan, if you want to be technical, his 3-point was his weakness, as he mentioned in the video. And Kevin Durant, he's a scorer offensively, but he's not good at setting his teammates up. He just fixated on getting his points in, like he's just hooping on the street. And every once in a while, he'll play good defense. LeBron sucks at 3-point. LeBron sucks at 3-point, sucks at free throws. Defense, whack. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if you want to be honest, a complete overall player with no weakness is Larry Bird and has been Larry Bird, and there's no question about it. If you want to be technical.
And Hakeem Olajuwon. But at the end of the day, when all things are considered, Bird might just be my ultimate choice.
There's no might just be. He is the ultimate choice. He is the ultimate person. But comment down below your thoughts, family. I'm curious to have a great conversation and get you guys' thoughts on is Larry Bird not only the face, but is the ultimate individual as the greatest overall player in the NBA, if not the greatest. And still to this present day, which I believe. But comment down below on you guys' perspective, thoughts. I'm just curious to have great, productive conversation. But with no further ado, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let the love supersede the hate. And on that note, family, as I always say, until the next video, peace.